Dragon Road and Question Mark, Part 3. Twilight groaned as she held a hoof to her head, feeling dazed after being pushed through the portal and suddenly hitting the ground. She held her head up a moment later and opened her eyes, looking around. Although the area she was in completely white, she could make out a few details. A circular spot on the floor with a 5-pronged star on it, staircase leading down, a circle of pillars going around. The floor seemed like it was made out of real crystal. Am I in the Crystal Empire? Twilight wondered aloud. She stood up and walked over to the nearby edge, taking a look down below. Despite the lack of color, the view was familiar. She was definitely in the Crystal Empire. Unicorn's relief at determining her location was cut short when she remembered something. Wait a minute, where's my saddlebags? She went around the roof of the castle frantically, muttering, My book! The Elements of Harmony! Finding no trace of her saddlebags or their contents, she ran over to the edge of the roof and focused on the street below as she channeled her magic into her horn. She disappeared and reappeared a moment later on the street, leading straight to the castle. She looked around, wondering where to start looking for her saddlebags. Just as she was about to head for the library, a flash of color caught her eyes as she turned to look at the castle. There, sitting on the ground near the crystal heart, were her saddlebags. Twilight grinned and nearly squeaked before running towards the castle, eager to get her saddlebags back. Before she could reach the castle, however, a bolt of dark purple lightning shot down from above, hitting the ground in front of Twilight. The unicorn managed to stop herself in time. Looking out, she saw the castle balcony, and there, standing at the edge, was Mare Duell, her hat floating next to her head as a dark purple aura surrounded her horn. The masked mare looked down at Twilight for a second before her horn lit up and she disappeared, reappearing on the street a short distance in front of Twilight. Placing her hat back on her head, it sits away that her horn could still be seen. Twilight glared at the masked pony. Mare Duell! What do you want from me? Why did you bring me here? Give me my saddlebags right now! Mare's only response was tilting her head forward, so her still glowing horn pointed directly at Twilight. Then, without warning, she fired a beam of magic energy from her horn. Twilight yelled as she moved to the side, the beam flying past her. Twilight looked back at Mare Duell and exclaimed, Hey, what's the big... She was cut off when Mare Duell began firing more beams at her in rapid succession, some directly at her and some aimed down her legs. Twilight did her best to avoid these magic shots, but several scraped along her sides, slightly scorching her fur. She tucked down as one was about to hit her in the face, dodging it, and then turning and running away. Mare Duell immediately gave chase, still firing beams from her horn. As she ran through the Crystal Empire, she tried to dodge the beams. Twilight occasionally looked back at the masked mare over her shoulders, wondering, How's she doing this? So she run her magic reserve down by now? She faced forward again. Twilight gasped. There was a cart directly in front of her path. She dug her hose into the ground, sliding as she tried to stop herself from crashing into the court. Quickly realizing it was too late to stop, Twilight looked at her legs and ran to the side, managing to get around the cart without crashing into it. That ended up being the smart thing to do. A second when she went around the cart, a beam from Mare Duell hit the cart where her head would have been if she kept sliding. Her attempt to slow down still cost her, however, as it allowed Mare Duell to catch up slightly. It also allowed her to track the amateur unicorn's movements better. As a result, the next beam she fired ended up straight hitting Twilight's left hind leg, causing her to stumble before falling onto her face. Trying to block out the slight burning sensation in her leg, Twilight attempted to climb to her hose, only for Mare Duell to tackle her and pin her to the ground on her back. Twilight looked up at the masked mare as he seemingly glared down at her, a horn still surrounded by a dark purple aura. She didn't know what the mare was planning to do with her, didn't fancy the thought of finding out. Even after everything Mike and my friends had been through, I was hoping I could avoid getting into a fight with whoever Mare Duell is. I was hoping I could lose her by running and then find a way back after I retrieved my saddlebags. Looks like I had no choice now. I'm gonna have to get my saddlebags back and fight her, she thought to herself. When Mare Duell leaned down with her glowing horn, Twilight quickly channeled her magic into her horn and blasted her with the same spell she used against the Changeling back at Camelot. It didn't reveal who she really was like with the Changeling, but it did knock her off with the unicorn and left her lying dazed on her back. Taking advantage of her daze, Twilight quickly thought of where she wanted to be and teleported away, reappearing on the street leading to the castle. Climbing to her hose, she dashed towards the castle, towards her saddlebags. When she was almost to the castle, she heard a pop behind her and increased her speed. Knowing it was Mare Duell, she managed to reach the castle and dove towards her saddlebags, grabbing them around 4 legs as a dark purple beam flew over her head. She sighed to herself, just made it, before using her magic to place her saddlebags back where they belong. Standing up, she turned to face the Ne'er-do-well, only to see the masked mare almost on top of her. Twilight quickly cast her teleportation spell, but it didn't work, and Ne'er-do-well tackled her, sending both mares rolling down the street in a flurry of flying hooves. Eventually, Twilight managed to lift her hind legs and pressed her back hooves against Ne'er-do-well, giving her a hard push and kicking her away. As she sat up, Twilight saw Ne'er-do-well running away. She was confused. Why would the mare run away now of all times? Her eyes widened at the thought. She must be playing something. She looked back over her shoulder at the Crystal Heart while thinking, can't stay here. Don't put the Crystal Heart in danger. She stood up and ran around the castle, heading for the Crystal Empire outskirts, where the rest of the Empire would surely be safe for whatever Ne'er-do-well was planning. Once she felt she was sufficiently far enough out, Twilight turned around and cast a force field around herself, the size of the bubble a few feet away from the center. Okay, Ne'er-do-well, I'm ready, she muttered, steadying herself. As she eyed her force field, a thought occurred to her. Maybe. Lining her horn up again, she thought back to what Silver and Blaze told her while she started to make a psychic knife. A minute later, she was finishing up. Something slammed against her force field. As she cracked an eye to open a look, she saw the square remains of the cart she nearly hit lying in front of her force field. It passed him, while saw Ne'er-do-well running towards her, carrying various things from her magic. Twilight recognized some of them from the Crystal Fair she and her friends had set up during their first visit. Go on! Just keep saying if you can reference the entire series up till season 3. I dare you, Vic! I triple dog dare ya! Twilight closed her eyes and tried to focus her psychic knife, looking for the right time to stop challenging energy while Ne'er-do-well pounded her force field with the objects. Soon, Twilight's force field began to crack, and a second later it shattered as a wooden stick came to the force field, right at the lever of the unicorn. Twilight leapt to the side to avoid it, holding her completed psychic knife in her grip. She looked at Ne'er-do-well to see the masked mare charging at her. Twilight steadying herself. God timed this just right. Just as Ne'er-do-well was about to hit her, Twilight leapt to the side and quickly turned around, seeing the masked mare skating to a stop. Before she could turn around, Twilight thrust her head forward, releasing her magenta-colored blade from her magic grasp, sending it flying at Ne'er-do-well. The masked mare requested looked back at her shoulder, and eyes seemingly widened into projectile coming towards her. She turned and tried running to the right, but the knife didn't hit her directly. It did tear part of her costume, particularly around her flank. Once she was sure it hit her, Ne'er-do-well came to a stop and pulled a complete 180, turning to watch as the blade flew through the air, and kept going for a few more seconds before it broke apart. Both Ne'er-do-well and Twilight looked at where she had been for a few moments, before the latter gave a big grin. Silver had told her that a psychic knife would eventually break apart on its own, and that one had flown farther than any she had made before. I did it! I actually used the psychic knife correctly! She cheered. She calmed down after a moment, remembering that the blade had cut through Ne'er-do-well's costume, and turned to look at the masked mare. Direct area a clear view of the mare and still seemingly standing in shock. Twilight's eyes widened when she saw the cutie mark under the costume. A blue magic wand, sprinkling light blue pixie dust. Oh, you mean, finally, this Vicar remembers! And the coat under the cutie mark was a brilliant azure color. No, it can't be, she gasped. Knowing only one pony who had that coat and cutie mark. Ne'er-do-well was broken from her trance at Twilight's words and looked down at her flank, realizing her disguise had been ruined. She glared at Twilight for a moment before unleashing a bright flash from her horn, forcing Twilight to cover her eyes. When Twilight's vision cleared, she looked and saw that her suspicions had been confirmed. There, standing where Ne'er-do-well had been, was a brilliant azure unicorn wearing a purple cape decorated with stars. As she watched, a matching magician's hat floated down and came to rest atop her head, covering up her horn. Twilight stared at her, eyes wide with surprise. Trixie! She exclaimed. The unicorn opened her dark grayish violet eyes and looked directly at Twilight's sparkle at the sound of her name. Something seemed off about her eyes, not like when she was wearing the unicorn amulet. But Twilight didn't have time to think about it, because Trixie started speaking. That is correct, Twilight Sparkle. I, the great and powerful Trixie, have returned. And this time, I will have my revenge! Seriously, author, 22 chapters and Trixie finally shows up. Shame on you. Twilight looked at her in shock. What? All this? But before you left Ponyville that time, you sent the Alicorn amulet. Trixie interrupted her with a loud laugh. She grinned at her. Ha ha ha! You're a fool, Twilight Sparkle. Did you really think everything I said while wearing the Alicorn amulet was said because of its influence? Why do you think I, Trixie, sought out such a thing in the first place? I only asked for your forgiveness at the time to get on your good side, so you wouldn't suspect that I still wanted my revenge, and you still believe me, like I knew you would. Twilight stared at her, still unable to believe what she was hearing. But after that, when... Trixie again interrupted her. Oh, save it, Twilight Sparkle. I, Trixie, has never forgotten what she went through with you. Showed her off the first time. Your little trick to get the Alicorn amulet does not sit well with Trixie either. Well, Trixie has no need for that trinket now. Her magic is already a higher level than yours. Twilight got out of her shock shade somewhat and narrowed her eyes slightly, asking, So you want another magic duel? Is that what you're saying, Trixie? The other unicorn replied, Of course! But this will be like our last duel. When you lost last time, you were banished from Ponyville. If you lose this time... She suddenly stopped mid-sentence. Her head suddenly tilted to the side as her right eye opened and closed a few times in quick succession. Her whole body shook. Twilight looked on in confusion. What was he doing? Trixie straightened up after a moment and glared at Twilight, saying, If you lose this time, the penalty is death! Twilight Sparkle! Twilight looked at her with wide eyes. What? You just can't... Trixie smirked evilly. Oh, yes, I can. After all, there's going to be around to witness it. No pony, that's who! And even if I was caught, what would any pony do about it? I'm too powerful. Just to show you that I'm not bluffing this time. She lifted off her hat over her head, with her magic and horn lit up, once again giving off a bright flash to force Twilight to look away and take several steps back. When she looked back where Trixie had been standing, she saw translucent purple fur that looked like the night sky, claws with a long tail same color. As she looked up, Twilight's eyes nearly shrank as she realized what she was looking at. This is she stuttered. As she looked up, she heard a laugh coming from the massive creature's head and saw Trixie there, being held up by her own magic, as he floated in front of the creature's face. She called down, Ha 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 ha! That is correct! Twilight Sparkle! It is a real user major! My magic not only called it here, but it also makes it obey my commands! Twilight shook her head. No, this can't be right. Not even dragons can be fully... While she paused, Trixie smirked. Oh, is that a touch of disbelief I hear, Twilight Sparkle? Perhaps a demonstration is on order. She floated up and perched herself on Ursa Major's head. She then spoke, her horn still glowing. Do as I tell you, beast! Grab that unicorn! Having fun, Trix? Oh, believe Trixie, she is enjoying it. She is having the time of her life. I bet you are. For a moment, the Ursa Major just stood there, but then looked down at Twilight and reached down with his right paw, the lavender unicorn's eyes widening at the sight. She turned around and ran after from the spot, just narrowly avoiding the Ursa's paw. Trixie saw this and said, Stay after her! And that the Ursa Major lowered itself to the ground on all fours, starting lumbering after Twilight. Twilight looked back as she ran towards the Crystal Empire, each step from the Ursa Major matching her running speed. Okay, Trixie, you made your point about the Ursa Major. You can call it off now, she yelled back. Trixie merely smirked. I'm afraid I can't do that, Twilight Sparkle. This is my spell for our magic duel. Where's yours? Twilight yelled, I didn't even agree to the duel, Trixie! Trixie responded, Oh, yes, he did. But going through that portal, you automatically agree to this duel. She grinned evilly. Now, get back here, little pony. I'm not done with you yet! The Ursa Major kept lumbering after Twilight for a few more seconds before the lavender unicorn's horn lit up and a bright flash emanated a second later. Trixie looked away when she saw the flash. When she looked back, Twilight was gone. The traveling magician looked upset for a moment, but soon she calmed down and said, She can't get back from here. She's just playing hard to get. Well, she'll sell herself sooner or later, one way or another. Caesar directed the Ursa Major to continue onward towards the castle. Inside the Crystal Empire Library, Twilight was huddled up against the side of the bookcase near her entrance. Her body shaking with fear as the hopelessness of her situation caught up with her. She'd been lucky enough to put the spells she had been practicing to good use, with Snips and Snails lured the Ursa Minor to Ponyville. But even if she had wind, cattails, and warm milk, she wouldn't be able to soothe the Ursa Major the same way, even if it wasn't under Trixie's control. She leaned up against the bookcase. She thought to herself, I don't understand. I wouldn't be surprised if Trixie's been practicing since our last duel, but it hasn't been that long. How does she go from tickling Rainbow Dash to being able to not only summon an Ursa Major, but control it in a short amount of time? She's the one who took Sakura's potions. She somehow found the Alicorn amulet while she was at her hut. Maybe I could see it. Well, she doesn't. So how does she learn to do that? As she thought about her Rainbow Mage friend again, Twilight's thoughts went from analytical to regretful. Rainbow Dash. I was ready to fight Trixie when she was disguised as Nightmare Duell to see her and the others again, but now I don't know how I'm going to be able to beat her. Yes, I've learned a lot, but I don't see how a lot of it's going to help break a magic hold on an Ursa Major, much less defeat it. She shuddered as she felt the ground shake from one of Ursa Major's attempts. It sounded like she was right outside. Had Trixie found her? Went for the impact to the library. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? She asked herself. She squeezed her eyes shut. Another footstep rumbled outside, causing the wind to blow into the library. You gotta be true to yourself. Twilight's eyes shot open at that. She looked in confusion. Sonic? Another footstep rumbled outside. Was the Anthony Ursa Razor walking past the library? Once again, the wind blew outside. Nothing starts until you take action. Twilight was still looking around. It sounds like he's right here talking to me. One more footstep rumbled out past the library, who had just barely making it through the front doors. You got time to worry, then run. Twilight stopped looking around as that passed through her head. She thought long and hard about it, not even noticing the shaking or retreating sound of the Ursa Major's footsteps. After a minute, she looked up and muttered, You know, this is actually good advice. Trixie's gonna find me no matter where I go here in the Crystal Empire. I don't know how long it'll take for my friends to find a way here, if that's possible. But if I ever want a chance to see them again, then I'm gonna have to do something. Worst case scenario, hiding from or confronting Trixie is gonna end the same way. But if I'm willing to face the possibility of failure, I might find a way to defeat her. She gave a wide smile. She had, come to think of it, I should be a natural by now by experiencing failure. A few minutes later, the Ursa Major stood on all fours in front of the castle. Trixie looking down at the crystal heart underneath it, while stroking her chin with her host, she muttered, So, this is the crystal heart, is it? It supposedly protects the Empire. It doesn't look like anything spectacular. So he striked a moment later. Well, I'm sure I can use it for something. I'll just take it with me. Without being told to, the Ursa Major looked at a paw and started reaching for the crystal heart. Before he could reach the heart, both the Ursa and Trixie froze at the loud sound of, Trixie! Trixie straightened up for a moment later and ordered the Ursa Major to stand up and turn around. He did as he commanded and looked down to see the Twilight standing on the street below, her arm pulsing with her magic. Trixie smirked down at the lavender unicorn. Oh, well, you decided to crawl out of your hole, Twilight Sparkle. Trixie doesn't know what you're hoping to accomplish, but Trixie certainly wouldn't call this one of your smarter decisions. Twilight yelled at her. Well, with you walking around with an Ursa Major under your control, you were going to find me sooner or later, Trixie. Why prolong the inevitable? Let's just get this duel over with. Trixie huffed. You would never make it in show business with an attitude like that. You're supposed to draw out the suspense and keep your audience on edge. But if you want to do this the quick and easy, then who's Trixie to say no? She glared at her rival. Go ahead. See if you can make Trixie laugh, Twilight Sparkle. Twilight responded by sweeping her head up and down, forming a vertical psychic knife with her magic. As he saw it being formed, Trixie chuckled. Oh, I see you're getting the magic butter knife out again. This should be worthy of a great and powerful laugh. Twilight finished preparing her blade of magic and looked up at the Ursa Major. Figurehead standing flying. Trixie sighed. Block it, beast! Major held up his left arm at that, the blade striking his wrist and holding it there for a few seconds. Then, the puffy unicorn sock, the knife sliced through the Ursa Major. Its massive paw fell from its arm as the second knife broke apart, the paw slowly fading away before it hit the ground. What the? Twilight exclaimed. Uh-oh. Trixie squeaked. Twilight's eyes narrowed as the realization hit her. That's not a real Ursa Major! It's just an extremely lifelike illusion. The horn lit up again as she fired a beam directly into the chest of the Ursa Major illusion. As soon as it hit, it began to spread across the illusion's body until the whole thing was magenta-colored. A bright flash erupted from its second layer, and when it cleared, the illusion was gone and Trixie was falling to the ground, sliding all the while. Just before she hit the ground, Twilight used her magic to slow her descent and settled herself down on the hoofs. Looking up, she saw her hat flying and the precious object inside of it. She used her magic to receive both, making sure the object didn't fall out. She pressed her hat back on top of her head. She glared at Twilight and said, "Show's over, Trixie. Looks like your magic is as powerful as you think it is." Trixie huffed. Says you, Twilight Sparkle. Did you not see how I teleported? The fact that I was able to create such a convincing illusion in the first place. My magic may not be what I said it was, but I'm still more powerful than you. Twilight asked. That other Martha, she was another illusion, wasn't she? Trixie replied, That is correct. She's also the one that has your super friend saddlebags. It makes no difference to me if she was caught or not. She broke up your little group, allowing me to get you all alone. Twilight asked, Why are you doing this? Trixie growled, I already told you. We are having a duel. I want revenge. At the end of this day, one shall stand, one shall fall. Twilight glared at her. So that's going to be, is it? She used her magic to pull her bulk out of her saddlebags and levitate them off, saving them down away from her. How about 7 Wings Reborn? Oh, that's how it's gonna be. You're gonna play 7 Rings Reborn as Trixie has the fight of her life. Yeah, Trix, get used to it. Now get to work. Just to watch Trixie move. I'll be right here, boss. See, they created a sizable force field around them so they wouldn't damage parts of the Crystal Empire, by accident or otherwise. She then said, I'm ready. Trixie grinned. Excellent! Let's do! The last word came out sounding weird, because once again had a strange plastic attack. Her head tilted to the side, legs shaking as Twilight looked at her in confusion. Trixie straightened up after a moment and glared at Twilight, using her magic to position her hat back on top of her head. They both glared at each other for a moment. Then Trixie said, Drah! And fired a dark purple beam at her horn at Twilight. The lavender unicorn responded by holding her book up in front of her, channelling her magic into it. As the beam struck, a miniature force field formed around Twilight, holding the attack. After Trixie's attack was over, Twilight's horn lit up as she teleported in front of the Azure unicorn, still holding her book. Unfortunately, Trixie seemed to have heard into this, as she raised her right foreleg as soon as Twilight appeared, and punched across her face, pushing her back a few steps. Shaking her head, Twilight looked to see Trixie leaping at her, her forelegs outstretched. Twilight then caught her with her magic when she was a little closer, spun around, throwing Trixie towards the force field. The unicorn managed to right herself, and the force field froze first, bending her knees and jumping off it towards Twilight. The lavender unicorn leaping up to meet her in midair. As they were about to collide, Trixie brought her hind legs up and kicked Twilight in the face, knocking her onto her back while Trixie landed hose down. Twilight landed to climb back to her hose, but just as she had barely gotten up there before Trixie smacked her with her cape. She managed to back away and avoid a buck to the face and held her book up in front of her. When Trixie dashed towards her to attack, Twilight swung the book, hitting Trixie across the face and following up with several more strikes, before delivering an uppercut with it, knocking Trixie off her hose. Twilight leapt up after her, delivering several punches with her hose before landing on her hose, while Trixie landed in front of her, hard on her rump. After recovering from her hard landing, Trixie looked up at Twilight and thrust her left forehead across her chest into her cape. Twilight looked confused for a second, but then Trixie swallowed her leg back out, throwing some kind of blue powder at the unicorn. Twilight let out a yelp as she turned her head away. It didn't seem like there was anything dangerous in the powder, but still, something got in her eye. While she was trying to get the powder out, Trixie looked at her, knocking her on the ground, both of them rolling and trying to punch each other. Trixie agrees. Really, Fick? This is a simple punch and kick drag out fight. Really? You could do better than this. These are two skilled magic users. Fireballs! Lightning bolts! Something! Quit it with just the pew 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 things! Come on! Let Trixie do some illusion spells here! Come on! Really, Vic? Come on! Just... Why do some people always do this when it comes to magic? They're like, well, the show just does magic pew 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 pew. No need to get more creative than that. This is a fanfic. You're not limited by the show anymore. Magic it up. Do some creative spells, transmutation. Yeah, I know the show doesn't go all out with the spells. It doesn't go full on D&D. But that's the show. They're limited by what they can do. They can't pull off cool magic spells, but you're a fic. Do it. You're not limited. Be free. Use your imagination. Just flow. You have our permission. I'll be fine if you have Twilight throw a fireball or two. Or Trixie throw a few more lightning bolts. These are spellcasters. Let them be spellcasters. Eventually, Trixie managed to kick Twilight away. The bookworm hitting her force field back first. When she recovered and stood up, she saw Trixie's horn glowing. The magic unicorn firing a spear of magic energy at Twilight, who ducked to the side to avoid. For some reason, she could swear that the color of Trixie's magic was a lighter shade of purple, but didn't have time to ponder this as the showmare began firing magic shots at her, forcing her to run to avoid them. After running for a few seconds, Twilight teleported right back to Trixie, startling the Azure Mare. Trixie immediately tried to retaliate with a beam, but Twilight dropped down, causing the beam to hit the force field instead. While Twilight was down, she set her book to the ground and opened it. Seconds later, when Trixie looked down, a magenta blast of magic energy burst out of the book, knocking her upwards. Twilight immediately followed her to attack, not giving her a chance to recover. When he landed, Twilight held her book in front of her, opening it to a certain page. Trixie saw this, as well as Twilight looking away. She clung to her hooves. She had no time to avoid the beam that came shooting out of the book. After recovering from the attack, Trixie got up, and the battle continued for a short while. During this time, Twilight's force field began to develop noticeable cracks, and Trixie's magic aura slowly became lighter and lighter until it was back to its usual pale, light grayish magenta. Only this time, her magic had stopped having the effects it initially did, causing Twilight to suspect that however Trixie attained her magic boost, it was only temporary. During a series of physical strikes for Trixie, Twilight used her magic to shield herself from the next strike, then strike back herself, pushing the Azure Mare away. When Trixie charged at her, Twilight teleported behind her and closed her eyes as she focused. This was going to take all of her concentration. Trixie skidded to a stop and looked back at Twilight to see what she was doing, not suspecting the unicorn was planning anything. She then charged at her again, this time leaping her as she got close. As Trixie reached the height of her jump, Twilight's eyes opened and she lowered her head. Trixie had only seen them for half a second, but she knew Twilight's eyes were completely white. The ladder of the unicorn floated off the ground as Trixie came down, a dome of majestic color and energy suddenly spreading out of her body, catching Trixie within it. At the center of the dome, Twilight's body twisted as she channeled her magic out of her body. Trixie was unable to move in all of the dome. A second passed before Twilight jerked her body forward towards Trixie, releasing one last burst of magic energy at her. And that did it. The force of the magic burst sent Trixie flying to the weakened force field, causing it to collapse as Twilight shot to the ground. Looking up, Twilight saw Trixie landing her back on the stream away from the castle, her hat landing on the side a short distance away from the unicorn. Closer inspection revealed something had fallen out of her hat, and after putting her book away in her saddlebags, retrieving them, she ran towards Trixie to find out what it was. Once she reached the hat, she could clearly see what it was and gasped. It was a necklace with a purplish pink diamond-shaped jewel in the center of it. The elements of generosity, but how did... She stopped a moment short when she heard a groan and looked at Trixie climbing to her hooves, looking, well, finally more a bit dazed. As the unicorn tried to maintain her balance, she raised her right hoof to the side of her head and gave it a good smack. So I watched. Something fell out Trixie's left ear. She did a hardly but just a groan as she lowered her hoof. Finally, I thought I'd never stop. Something was definitely different about Trixie, Twilight noted. Her eyes looked normal again. When all the panting and heaving she was doing, she looked like her regular old self. Not like the death machine she had been acting a moment ago. Twilight took a few steps towards her and ventured, Trixie? The Azure Unicorn looked up at her, eyes going wide at the sound of arrival. Twilight Sparkle! She gasped. Eyes stood narrow as she spoke up, turning away, holding her nose up as she spoke. Well, that's that then. Congratulations, Twilight Sparkle. You have completely shut up Trixie. You can have that silly necklace Trixie had as your reward. And now go. Twilight looked up at her in surprise. Trixie sounded angry, but there was something underneath the anger. Something she had heard only once in Trixie's voice before. And it wasn't this heavy. Trixie. She started. The Azure Unicorn interrupted her. How fine, fine, fine. She looked back at Twilight over her shoulder. Her horn began to glow. I'm sure you saw that thing fall out of Trixie's ear. Take that as well. Take it far away from Trixie. In fact, why does she take Trixie's hat as well? Her magic picked up the remains of what Twilight could see was some kind of machine and dropped it from there in her hat, while Trixie had delivered the unicorn, which accurately caught in her hooves. Trixie's magic then surrounded her cape as she added, and take Trixie's cape while you're at it, so you have everything Trixie owns. Now, leave Trixie alone! She threw her undone cape at Twilight and it landed on top of her. The unicorn lifted it in her shadow bags off of her magic and moved toward them, along with Trixie's hat and element generosity out to the side. She took a few steps towards Trixie, trying again. Trixie. Only to have Trixie interrupt her again as she turned away again. Begone from Trixie's sight, Twilight Sparkle! Twilight shook her head and persisted. Trixie! As her unicorn turned around to face her fully and screamed, Leave me alone! Twilight took a second back and screamed, was held back by taking any more by Trixie dropping her use of the third person. Trixie? She asked. Trixie continued to glare at her a second before it gritted her teeth, tears springing to her defeated eyes as her defenses began to crumble. Her legs buckled, unable to hold her up for any longer. She covered up her eyes with her forehead, trying to hide her tears. She heard Hostess coming toward her and weakly ask, Why are you still here, Twilight Sparkle? Why does you leave the ashamed and traitorous Trixie alone? Twilight looked down at the mirror in front of her. Ashamed and traitorous? Trixie whimpered, You know what I mean. Everything I did just now. This isn't like when I was wearing the Alicorn amulet. I didn't have a lot of control over myself due to his corruption, but at least I had something. This. I was powerless to stop this. Twilight asked, What happened? Trixie lowered her hose to the side as he spoke. I can't remember it all completely. When that strange thing was put into my ear, it brought a few things from my memory, and I could not see anything for a while afterwards. But I remember hearing something about magic increasing its power before it was placed in my ear. I remember drinking a mixture to temporarily boost my magic. I remember being ordered to kill you. After that, I think I've been trying to regain control to stop myself, and while I was trying to do so, I could see everything my body and magic were doing to you. Twilight murmured, Trixie. The showmare said, The only other thing I can completely remember is being ordered to take that costume you saw me wearing before I lost control. And thanks to that magic burst, I can't even return it now because it's been burnt to nothing. Twilight walked to her side and placed a hoof on her shoulder as she wept. Banishing you was bad enough, especially when the Alicorn amulet made me want to do it. If you hadn't fought back, I would have killed you, and I didn't want that. To have to watch as both my body and magic betrayed me, going against my wishes. I was hoping we could start anew with all that trouble with the Alicorn amulet, but how can you possibly trust me now, after what I tried to kill you? Unnoticed by the other two mayors, the warp ring appeared near the castle. Sonic and Tails stepped out of it. After Tails retreated, they both saw Twilight and Trixie and ran toward them, hiding behind a nearby building to assert the scene. And if Sonic was anybody else, I would bet he's hoping that a lesbian scene would break out. After Trixie is done with her scenes, he is going to kill you. After a short silence, Twilight spoke. Trixie, I can't claim to know what you went through. I know this isn't going to help you much right now. But you said the device, whatever it was manipulating your actions to let you with little control over yourself. And I see now that those times where you acting strangely were you trying to regain control. Which means to me you were telling the truth. So I forgive you. Tracy looked at her, eyes still wet with tears. Do you really mean that? How could you say that? Dora replied, I was mad at you when you first came back to Ponyville because you were messing with my friends and the other ponies. But even when I was banished, I never hated you. I was more concerned about the way you were acting and what you were doing. Whatever was guiding you this time gave you no choice but to fight back. I was hoping all the while I could get you out of whatever possessed you to try to kill me. I see you now have. So no, I don't hate you. I know my friends won't hate you either. Tracy looked doubtful at that. How do you know? Toy smiled softly. Because I made a new friend today, and he's proven that he can look past what some pony has done to find out who they really are, try to make others understand what he learns. He'll do the same for you, I know it. You realize that there'd be some fans, I know, there'd be some fans who wouldn't accept your apology and would want you dead. Oh yes, or imprisoned, or banished, or imprisoned in the place that I was banished to, or you cut your wrist and you have blood leaking out, or being within an inch of my life, or your mask completely destroyed. Oh, Tracy's got a good one. What? Mine totally right. Ooh, how about in prison so you can't relearn your lesson? Oh, no. Tracy loves this one. Oh, get this. Executed in front of a public ground. You people think I'm kidding? The way some people talk about Starlight, I have a feeling they wouldn't be happy until they saw Starlight's dead corpse crucified in front of Canterlot. With her eyes pecked out by crows. Trixie asked, Really? Twilight nodded, yes, and I may not know him well enough yet, but I think I know what he said. Trixie watched as the unicorn took a few steps away from her, her eyes closed. Trixie rose to her hooves, looking at her confusion. After a few seconds, Twilight opened her eyes and began to sing. Because this is a ponyfic, and a song's gotta happen sometime. And in case anybody's curious, the song is Live Life from Sonic the Black Knight. Thank you and enjoy. Take a look inside your heart. What seems fair today, tomorrow it may not. Just a walk or a journey. Don't stop reaching high. Don't let the time pass you by. So many ways that you can try to forget. So many ways you'll find. Wake up to regret. Someday, one way will say, live life, I know. Hold on, hold tight, don't let go, don't lose sight. Twilight had held her head lower as he sang out the last part, but it jerked up when she heard the sound of applause. She and Trixie turned to see Sonic and Tails stepping out from behind the building he had been clapping. Upon them, Twilight had several questions, but they were forgotten when Sonic opened his mouth. Feeling like the road is winding you on every turn, but there are lessons to learn. Tails stepped up as he finished. Take a look inside your heart. What seemed impossible today is not. Twilight smiled down and turned back to Trixie. So many ways that you can try to forget. So many ways you'll find. Wake up to regret. Trixie noticed all of them nod to her. She started out slowly and hesitantly, but pouring more feeling into it as their cursing works. Someday, one way, we'll say live life, I know. Hold on, hold tight, don't let go, don't lose sight. As they all came together, none of them noticed the color beginning to return to the Crystal Empire as they all sang together. Someday, one day, we'll say live life, I know. Hold on, hold tight, don't let go. Sonic did sing by himself. Can't imagine making it on your own. You got it inside of you, so let it out. They all came back together. Someday, one day, we'll say live life, I know. Hold on, hold tight, don't let go, don't lose sight. Someday, one day, we'll say live life, I know. Hold on, hold tight, don't let go, just live life. After a short pause, Tail sang, live life. After another pause for Twilight saying, don't let go. Trixie sang after another short pause, live life. And huddled together to sing to the sky, live life. Woo! Is that like one of the few times you got to sing it to your normal voice? Why, yes, Trixie, that was. They all held together for a few seconds before the sound of applause caught their attention. Looking around, they saw that a circle of crystal ponies had gathered around them, all of them stopping their host in approval. Tails immediately noticed their shining appearance and whispered to Twilight, "Greeting." Twilight whispered back, "They're the crystal ponies, and we're in the Crystal Empire." Sonic heard her, and as the four of them separated and stood next to her, muttered, "I guess that makes sense." They all took a moment to look around. The Crystal Empire had fully regained its color. It seemed as though the Crystal Heart was active again, protecting it. They could even see the clear blue sky above them. Twilight turned to Trixie as the applause began to die down, and the crystal ponies began to scatter and ask, "Do you remember the kind of magic I used in our second duel, Trixie?" The unicorn nodded, "Yes. You said you used the magic of friendship. Your friends helped you when you needed them the most." Twilight replied, "And it's exactly the same here. We all joined together as friends to sing, and that magic was felt by the Crystal Empire itself. That's why it's back to normal now." Trixie asked, "Friends? Are you sure?" Sonic walked up to her and said, "Of course. I know I wouldn't sing with someone I didn't think I could be friends with, and neither would Tails." Behind him, the Fox nodded in agreement. Sonic then placed a hand on his chest. "I don't think we've been properly introduced yet. My name's Sonic. What's yours?" The unicorn meekly replied, "Trixie." Sonic said, "Well, Trixie, I'll have you know that Twilight was right. I'm not going to judge you on your past actions alone. Sure, I wouldn't be too happy if you tried to punch me or whatever, but I'm willing to look past whatever caused you to do something like that, and see there's more to you than that. Honestly, it takes a lot to get me to really dislike someone. Although some viewers, it would be really easy to." Twilight looked at Trixie and asked, "Do you feel a little better now, Trixie?" The unicorn turned to her and said, A little, but I..." Twilight asked, "Yes?" Trixie sighed. "I don't see how I'm going to get over what I've done, if that's even possible." Sonic spoke. "Well, you won't be able to forget it, that's what you're saying, but you could definitely get over it." Tails nodded. "Yeah, especially if you have people, or rather ponies, I guess, who are willing to stand by you and help you through it." Trixie looked uncertain. "I don't know." Twilight laid her right foreleg over Trixie's shoulder and said, "We still have a lot to do to restore Equestria and Sonic's world. But this is all over, we'll talk, Trixie." we'll take it one day at a time if that's what you want. Because I can understand what you're going through right now. And that's what Trixie and Twilight kissed. Trixie will end you! Trixie looked at her, eyes starting to fill up with fresh tears. Unable to hold back any longer, she turned and wrapped her forelegs around Twilight, sobbing softly on her shoulder while the Lavender Unicorn stroked her back. While she was comforting Trixie, a thought occurred to Twilight. She turned her eyes to Tails and said, Tails, what's left of the device in Trixie's hat? Do you think you can? She trailed off, but Tails understood what she was asking. Tails walked over to Trixie's hat and fisted around inside of it for a few moments, before closing it around the machine inside. Pulling it out, he looked at it for a few seconds before saying, I'll have to take a closer look at it, but I think I can figure out what it is. Twilight nodded and released Trixie, then eyes her unicorn taking a step back. Twilight then used her magic to lift the element of generosity and place it on their other necklaces, shoving her saddlebags up and placing it on her back while saying, We'll hang on to this. She then wrapped her magic around Trixie's hat and cape and levitated them over to her. Putting them on the unicorn, she said, But these belong to you, and only you, Trixie. Trixie gave her a small but sincere smile at that. Sonic spoke up after a moment of silence. If everything's okay now, we should probably get going. Tails and the others already found Vector and Big Macintosh by the time my group got to the Gaia Gate. And now everyone else is probably waiting impossibly in Ponyville to hear that Twilight's okay. You can come with us, Trixie. Maybe you can rest up for something for a while. Trixie nodded a bit. I think I will like that. Twilight Sparkle does have a mean attack. Twilight grinned sheepishly at that, but she calmed down a bit and saw that Trixie was just joking. Before any of them could move, they could hear something coming from what was left of the crowd that had gathered around them. I turned towards the castle to look. From the look of it, some of the crystal ponies were parting to let somebody through. After a few moments, a white unicorn stallion with a two-tone blue hair stepped to the crowd. As soon as he saw the Lavender Unicorn in the group, he asked, Twilight? Twilight gasped, BBBFF! A second later, Pegasus Unicorn with a pale-like great cerise coat came up behind the stallion, causing Twilight to say, And Cadence! Before rushing over to them. Vic, that's Alicorn. Sonic raised an eyebrow as he looked at the two newcomers, not noticing Twilight and Cadence doing their usual greeting as he asked, Twilight? Trixie looked confused as well. BBBFF. Tails thought about that when he heard for a moment, before looking at Cadence, starring, Twilight called her Cadence, so... He looked at the stallion as he finished. That must be her brother, Shining Armor. Trixie looked surprised. Twilight Sparkle has a brother. Sonic nodded. Surprising, I know. Guess we should go over and meet the big guy and his wife. Stay behind us, that's the case, Trixie. The show mare quickly caught on what he was getting at and nodded. The three of them walking over to Twilight, her brother and sister-in-law. The latter, Cadence, noticed him coming over and said, Oh my, Twilight, who are they? Twilight parted pathway to see Sonic, Tails, and Trixie coming to stop next to her. She looked at her sister-in-law as he spoke. Oh, I'm sorry, Cadence. I haven't introduced you yet. She looked at Sonic and Tails and said, You guys remember when I mentioned my brother and Princess Cadence? They both nodded. So she turned back to Shining and Cadence and saying, Shining, Cadence, these are some new friends of mine. She gestured to Tails as she said, This is Tails. The two-tailed fox stepped forward and nervously waved. Hi! Cadence happily replied, Hello there, little fox. I must say I've never had the pleasure of meeting a fox before. Shining awkwardly nodded. Yeah, it's different. He honestly didn't know what to make of the strange fox, especially when he knows he had two tails instead of one. Twilight gestured to Sonic as he said, This is Sonic. The blue hedgehog stepped forward and gave a casual wave. Hey, nice to finally meet you two. Cadence nodded. It's nice to meet you too, Sonic. Shining Armor didn't say anything, prompting the others to look at him. It wasn't that he didn't have anything to say. It was just that Sonic started to look closely at him after his wife said hi. The blue hedgehog looked down at his hooves and nose and looked up towards his face, then peered to his side to get a good look at his cutie mark. He then looked at Twilight before looking back at the stallion and shrugged. Okay, I see it. Shining looked confused. See what? Sonic replied, The family resemblance. There's a lot similar between you two, But your hair's kind of similar, and it's got the same tones, and you both have a similar hairstyle. That's pretty cool. Sighing awkwardly smiled. Oh, thanks. Twilight looked over at Trixie nervously, wondering if introducing to her brother was a good idea. The showmare looked nervous as well, but she nodded for Twilight to go ahead. Twilight turned to her brother and full stare and said, "And this is Trixie." Shining Armor's ears perked up at the name. Trixie? Looked at the Yasher unicorn carefully, saying, "I remember Princess Celestia mentioning the name Trixie to me once. Have you ever been to Ponyville before?" Trixie laughed nervously. "Oh, Trixie has been all over Equestria in her time as a traveling magician. It's not easy to remember the name of every town she visited." She glanced at Twilight out of the corner of her eye, suddenly begging her for help. Also, Trixie was wondering when she and Twilight would finally go on that date. "Trixie's going to murder you!" Twilight noticed this and looked at Sonic and Tails, suddenly telling them it was time to go. Sonic nudged the fox, Tails, and the fox nodded. Moving his left tail behind Sonic, he spoke. "Well, probably not much of a big deal right now. I mean, normally it might be, but we got other things on our mind to worry about." Case asked, "What do you mean?" Tails said, "Well, it seems like the Crystal Empire itself is somehow protected, but out there, what's a force field surrounding the Empire and knows beyond it, whiteness?" He pointed, "I don't know if you can see it, but there's white out there. It's covering all of Equestria right now. That's bad. Very bad." Shining Armor looked confused. "White?" Sonic nodded as he quietly slipped his left hand to tail to get the warp ring. "Yep, it's swallowing the world, man. But don't worry, we've already met with Princess Celestia and Luna about it." Chaos replied, "You met with my aunts?" Sonic replied, "Uh-huh. And Twilight, her friends, and Tails, and I are helping take care of the crisis." He slowly lowered his left hand down, keeping it behind his back as he said, "And now that we know the Crystal Empire is safe, but still in the middle of it, we'll put it on the list. We'll take care of it." He then smiled. "So it's great meeting you all, but..." He opened his left hand, the warp ring falling from it. Before hitting the ground, he brought his left foot, kicking it backwards. The ring flipped a few times as it flew into the air, before it expanded to its full size. "Vic, I'm going to take over this goodbye greeting this time, because I haven't said this in ages, but we're up, over, and gone!" Wow. That hasn't been said in forever. He finished, turning and running towards the ring, Tails, Twilight, and Trixie doing the same. Sonic stared dumbfounded before saying, "What? Hey!" He yelled after them, Canes following him after a moment. Sonic, Tails, Twilight, and Trixie jumped through the ring, shining at Canes, sleeping through them before it closed. Spike and the others stood in front of the schoolhouse at Ponyville. The still frozen forms of Vector and Big Mac standing next to them. Sakura Saddlebag still at Applejack's back as they peacefully waited for Sonic and Tails to return to Twilight, and hopefully to bound up Mare-de-Well. It had taken a lot of convincing to get them to leave it to the duo. Now, considering how long they'd been waiting, they were starting to regret that decision. Any thoughts of starting something were quelled when the warp ring suddenly opened up in front of the group, as Sonic, Tails, Twilight, and surprisingly Trixie came through it, landing on the ground. Before any pony could say anything about the magician, two more ponies came through the warp ring, landed awkwardly on the four of them, all of them letting up a shout as they fell to the ground. Tails dropping the remains of the machine still in his hands, and something flying out of Twilight's saddlebags. "Huh?" was all anyone could mutter as they saw Shining Armor and Princess Canes laying on top of Sonic, Tails, Twilight, and the Trixie in the warp ring sunk down and landed on the ground beside them. Sonic recovered first and looked up at Shining Armor, saying, "Dude, I said we'd take care of it. What word didn't I emphasize enough?" Rarity glanced down at the object that flew out of Twilight's saddlebags and realized it was her element of generosity's necklace. So quickly scooped it up and saying, "My element of generosity! Darlings, I can't thank you enough for finding it." As she sighed and inclined to her host, Canes looked around and wondered, what's going on here? Noticing Trixie as she, Tails, Twilight, and Sonic stood up, Spike asked, "Why's Trixie with them?" Applejack nudged him with a hoof and said, "Hush up for now, Spike, it's stern." Sonic, Tails, and Twilight noticed the schoolhouse and schoolyard were beginning to regain their color. Walked over to the others to join them. Trixie, Shining Armor, and Canes following soon. All the color had returned. And they looked at Vector and Big Magatos as their colors started to return. As soon as his colors were back, Applejack ran over to Big Magatos and nuzzled him, while Brayburn smiled at him. Once Vector was done, Sir was back. He turned to everyone and spoke. Thanks, you guys! You know, I got a hunch someone or something is controlling that monster. He made motions with his hands and fingers to emphasize his point. Big Megatron drawled, Yup. The others nodded in understanding, save for Shining and Princess Cadance. And nope. No. Amy's about to earn some awesome respect. Respect again when she is a playable character in Sonic Origins Plus. So I'm skipping this point, and I'm going to let you know, Fick, I am going to do a complete run through of Sonic Origins Plus with Amy just to spite you. If you survive, that is. What do you mean, Trixie? I'm planning on living. Oh, you're probably a little mad about all the Twixie jokes I've been making, and you're probably. Is that a Placewalker ring? What are you setting it for? Let's see. This seems appropriate. Trixie, where did you open a portal to? Is that a world where Prince Scythe didn't die to Fox Machina? Yep.